Let's take a look from Columbus, Ohio, the campus of the Ohio State University. This was the scene just moments ago. We continue to follow the story. Again, apparently it involved assailants in an SUV and one suspect wielding a knife. We continue to monitor events at the Ohio State University, and we will update you on the latest information as we get it. Now, for more on the top political stories of the day, very pleased to be joined by my old colleague from Capitol Hill, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Pete Hoekstra. Pete, now a Shillman Senior Fellow for the Investigative Project on Terrorism. He's the author of the book, Architects of Disaster, The Destruction of Libya. Pete, we always appreciate your time as you Skype in today from Bonita Springs, Florida. We heard it chronicled a little bit earlier. Talk from Chris Collins up on Capitol Hill, talk from Kellyanne Conway on the Sunday shows about Mitt Romney, and subsequent reports today that there may be some strife in the transition team. Again, if people are just joining us, let's listen again to a portion of what Kellyanne Conway had to say yesterday on NBC's Meet the Press.
People feel betrayed to think that Governor Romney, who went out of his way to question the character and the intellect and the integrity of Donald Trump, now our president-elect, would be given the most significant cabinet post of all, Secretary of State. And that is a decision that only one man can make. President-elect Donald Trump. I will respect it and I will support it 1,000%. But I'm reflecting what the grassroots are saying. Right. They feel a bit betrayed to think that you can get a Romney back in there after everything he did. We don't even know if he voted for Donald Trump.
As we would say in diplomatic parlance, candid and unvarnished assessment. I mean, betrayed? This is strong language. What is your theory about what's going on within the Trump transition vis-a-vis Mitt Romney as Secretary of State?
Well, I think what you're seeing, JD, is you're seeing a healthy disagreement among his transition team leadership, many of whom were with him, in the last 3-4 months of the campaign. And they do have a disagreement on Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, obviously, I believe, is a very talented individual. But he also spoke out very aggressively against Mr. Trump. So within the Trump camp, you've got two factions. One who say his critical comments of Mr. Trump disqualify him. Others who are saying, wait a minute, this is a talented guy. We need to grow our base. We need to put in place people who can move your agenda forward. We ought to make room for Mitt Romney in this team. Kellyanne Conway's absolutely right. Ultimately, Donald Trump is the only person who really knows what's going on, and he will make the decision.
Well, we are finding out that our viewers are making calls into us at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. First up, from Farmington Hills, Michigan, Thomas is on the telephone. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, JD.
Hi.
Two remarks today. First, regarding my comment about Trump making a grave mistake that I made last week, it was nice to see my vindication by both Steve Malzberg and Dick Morris. Second, years ago I coined the phrase the 6 needs plus 1, which is related to but somewhat different than what I refer to as the 5 needs, which are spiritual, mental, physical, material, and financial. Trump is healthy physically, materially, and financially, but what about spiritually and mentally? Some people have actually employed the Goldilocks test with honesty. This bed's too firm, that bed's too soft, this bed's just right. But can the same be said of Trump? Clinton, she's bad, prosecute her. Then again, Clinton, she's good people, don't prosecute her. But then again, Clinton, well, prosecution's not out of the question. To apply the off-quoted remark of C.S. Lewis about Christ to Trump, he's a liar, he's a lunatic, or he, in fact, really is who he claims to be, and we really haven't been duped. Then he says global warming's a lie. Then again, global warming could be true.
So what you're looking for, Thomas, you just want the words, let his yes be yes and his no be no, and not the Goldilocks description here. Pete, you hear the criticism from Thomas there, from your home state of Michigan. What say you about Trump? Is he in a dangerous juncture in this transition where he appears to be one thing to his base, but somebody else to the dominant media culture?
Well, I think the dominant media culture, mainstream media, as we refer to them, JD, anytime that there's even a hint of Donald Trump evolving or changing a position, I think they're blowing it out of proportion. They want to make this guy look like a bumbler. They've tried to do it for the last 12 months. The American people didn't buy it. I think, where we're going to see is what Donald Trump actually starts to implement. I think the first people that he's chosen in his cabinet, by and large, are very consistent with what he stood up for. Whether it's Bannon, whether it's Flynn, whether it's Sessions, whether it's Betsy DeVos, they are closely aligned with his priorities. But let's wait and give the president-elect a little bit of slack, and let's see exactly where he is and what happens when he becomes president at noon on January 20.
Fair enough. We don't have to wait till January 20th to talk with America here on America Talks Live at 1-877-Newsmax, 1-877-639-7629. A call now from my old stomping grounds out in Arizona. Peoria is the place where Terry checks in. Terry, I understand you want to discuss this horrific story coming out of Ohio State. Let's hear what you have to say.
No, JD. What I want to discuss is the silence that this community organizer, quote unquote, and as you said, rebel rouser, why has he been quiet about all the police killings? This is wrong. This is totally wrong, and neither he nor Hillary nor anybody from Capitol Hill has said a word about police killings. In their silence, they're promoting it, aren't they?
Terry, you make a point that I think many have picked up on, whether it is conferring upon the current president the direct blame. Pete, on a more benign subject, it was said that in the post-war boom, because Eisenhower enjoyed golf, people played golf. Because Jack Kennedy refused to wear a hat, men's hats went out of fashion. How much more so does Terry have a point, at least in terms of a failure to actively stand behind police from Mr. Obama and his Attorney General Loretta Lynch? Have they opened the barn door for attacks on police? Have they given primacy to Black Lives Matter, especially if you take a look at the White House logs where apparently organizers from Black Lives Matter have visited 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
I really would tend to agree with the caller. When you take a look at, again, the contrast in response from the media to the police killings, you would have expected a president to come out and forcefully defend our law enforcement officials and condemn these attacks. And the media never really has held the president accountable. Then you've got this fringe group out there, this alt-right, making some statements and making some positive statements about the president-elect. And you get all of mainstream media going crazy because Donald Trump has not denounced them forcefully enough. He's denounced them, but he should have done more. He should have done more. No, it's a double standard again. In the first case, police officers are losing their lives, and the president is not speaking out very forcefully for them. And the latter, it's a far right-wing group. Donald Trump condemns him, but no, he hasn't gone far enough. But this president has a duty to defend our law enforcement officials, hold them accountable when they fail, but by and large, their lives are at risk every day.
And as we were comparing and contrasting the conduct of the incumbent, Mr. Obama, with the president-elect, Mr. Trump, it is worth noting, Pete, that this offers a clear contrast where Mr. Trump on the stump during the campaign was unequivocal in his praise of the police and obviously running what many characterize as a law and order campaign. Pete Hoekstra from Bonita Springs, Florida. Pete, I'd ask you to stand by, and if you're at home watching or wherever you might be, we invite you to call in at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. We will continue to talk about the transition involving Mr. Trump and others right after this.